Upon first glance, the first section about me, it looks really long to hiring managers who are skimming through your portfolio, probably taking less than 30 seconds to read all that. Upon first glance, the first section about me, it looks really long. For me, this paragraph reads to me like how I got into design, maybe a section towards the bottom. I would personally focus on like your past experiences. Like, for example, I know Gina mentions like special educator, which is great. Maybe like saying like teens were notoriously challenging to please. I feel like that's like too much detail for like an overview page, like about yourself. I would maybe focus on like your past experience, like in teaching, or maybe like what if you got like a design certificate, or did any like design side projects, or maybe talk about a bit about your background from like the work you've done on your homepage. Like make it more focused about design instead of your past. But I feel like all these are really interesting to include because it paints a picture of like how you got to where you are today, but it might not be what you want to mainly focus on to hiring managers who are skimming through your portfolio, probably taking less than 30 seconds to read all that. So you want to make sure you surface the most important information. I also noticed that you have captions like exploring Barcelona, which is pretty cool. Like it shows that you like traveling, but I probably wouldn't include that description in your about page, and maybe like leave that out for more brevity. I also really like the outside of UX part because it gives the reader like a picture of who you are as well outside of design. And yeah, I like those, and yeah, I recommend keeping that. But maybe my suggestion would be having the about me more focused on like your design experience, and then your other relevant experience, like an overview, and then maybe additional section about what you learned from those additional experiences, like how you dealt with like teens and everything too. And then I like the testimonials as well. I think it's also great to include them on the bottom too. And I noticed there's LinkedIn twice. There's like LinkedIn there,
Yeah.
And LinkedIn on the footer. I would keep them in one place, maybe just at the footer, because I look on the other pages, it's like on the top. Well, LinkedIn in three places. There's a LinkedIn on top, and then LinkedIn in the middle, and LinkedIn in the footer.
Can't miss it.
Huh? Yeah, you can't miss it. So I think just keeping the LinkedIn, like removing like the call to action, the primary button LinkedIn would be my advice as well.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Yeah, I totally agree on all that. Ludovic, what are your thoughts?
I like it, and I think that it can also be improved, right? I think that it would be. I feel like it's the same feedback that I have for the home screen. I was like, wait, what's our past and what's our present? And I feel like I also get that conflict here where I'm like, well, I like more clarity as to, like, why are you telling me that story right now? And what should I take away from it? And I just missed what do I need to take away from this? So I feel like she could just, if you were to just chunk it down, almost like create as a timeline as to, like past 10 years, and it's like visually on the timeline, and then you see a picture over teaching with kids or something, right, in context, with a short, like super small, like H1, and maybe a bit more of a paragraph text below the next section, and then then I'm a UX designer or whatever, like, but more chunked down. Then I would see the progress, and I would see like her past clearly, and I would see her present clearly, and I would identify different pictures to what she's talking about, and that will help me to stay more attuned to what she's trying to say, right? But other than that, I mean, I think that it's fine. I don't see too much wrong with it. But yeah, maybe chunking it down will help a lot. Outside of UX section, I think is cool. And see, like, again, seeing another picture of her outside of work, and I think that's great. It helps connect with her at a human level. And yeah, so that's more of what I mean, like quick outside of UX, I see a picture of her. Cool, I can quickly relate those two things together, right? Same thing for above, right? And then last thing, I would say that because the quotes at the bottom are center aligned, it makes it even harder to read, just because there is so much text. So I would just left align that, and that would be my feedback. Yeah.
Nice. So definitely agree with both of what you guys are talking about. I think the thing I would add a caveat to what Ludovic said from my perspective, where you have what Grace had talked about, where you have a chunk down section at the top overview, and then if you wanted to have that timeline view, it would go here. You could do the entire thing as a timeline view, but I think Like you start with the overview of who you are, and then you can allow people to dive into the details, and then you do more of that. You can do it chunk down. You can do it his way too if you just have everything be really small. I think the thing that was missing here is why you went into UX. Like what made you switch? Like why did you want to go from being a teacher? Like what drove you out? And like that I think is super interesting, because like at the end of the day, that's your origin story into UX, and that's kind of what belongs here to a certain extent. I agree with all the other feedback. One of the things that I was thinking about is like why you didn't potentially keep that more door shape.
Oh yes, yes.
Like continuing on here because you had it on the homepage. Like keep continuing that same pattern. That's something that I was wondering why. I didn't mind the captions. I think maybe as like a lighter text, so they're not drawing so much attention, would maybe the way to get around that. And then coming back around, I think more personality. It's like just kind of like on the homepage for me. I think adding more of who you are. Like I love this because it tells me who you are, and like at the end of the day, like people want to work with others that they like. It's just the way it works. We do. By showing more of who you are, you're building more of an authentic connection with someone, even if they haven't quite met you yet. And so letting that play out in your writing, and like I love the pictures you're including. It's just adding more of that, I think really helps bring out more, just more of that stuff that makes people interested. Definitely get rid of the LinkedIn button here. And then the other thing I'd say is find more quotes. I can guarantee you that you can get a lot more people to chime in on this. And the fact that when I click on one, it goes to the right, and then I click to the right again, it immediately goes back. It makes me wonder why you haven't at least got 3, if not more than that. And I can, with people in your life or mentors or other people, like I'm sure you can find other people to add to that, even if they're small quotes. But it adds. I like the fact that you had it. It was kind of a testimonial section, which I thought was really interesting. And I think adding more to it would only benefit you and make it feel more robust. So all in all, Grace,
I feel like it's good 3, just because I like how she describes like how she got to where she is today, but it's unclear to me what she wants to get out of the portfolio. Yeah.
Totally.
Other than that, I feel like that's the main thing giving me a 3.
Yeah, I think I'm at a 3 as well. I'm a good. I think that storytelling is probably the biggest missing piece here to go to a solid. And if that's nailed pretty well, then I think that can go to a solid pretty quick.
Yeah, I'm with you both. We're all vibing today on those same ratings. I'd say definitely a good for me. Like the thing that's really great about your portfolio so far is that it's not all over the place. Like, It feels very consistent. Like that's really great. Like we're not giving you a lot of visual feedback. That's wonderful, because so many times I feel like I hop into these and we're providing visual feedback. Like there's not a lot of visual feedback, which is great. It's really like the details that I feel like she needs to get right when it comes to the storytelling and like taking out this sort of thing, potentially adding more of those arches back, adding more personality. Like that's what's going to make her stand out. And so that actually makes me really excited for this, as far as like that it wouldn't take that much for her to go from a good to, because I'd say she's like really a good, like, midway between that and solid here. It wouldn't take her much to go up for sure. Cool. Well, what case study do you all want to review? We can go, I would assume the first one, because it's the first one she has, but we could also just be...
The first is always the way to go. Where's the button though? Okay. I completely forgot to ask earlier.
Button to click on it? I think it's just a card.
But there is no interactive... it zooms in a little bit, yeah. Cool.
It does. It's just, you don't really notice it unless you, like, because it's such a big card. I
want to add a little button there.
Yeah.